Have you ever pondered that curious void in the biblical account of Jesus? The scriptures depict him as a 12-year-old child in the temple, impressing scholars with his insight. Then the story leaps ahead. He reappears at 30, getting baptized and starting his ministry. What transpired during those intervening 18 years? Where was Western history's most pivotal spiritual figure during his formative youth? This isn't merely a historical curiosity. It represents perhaps the most significant untold chapter in spiritual history, a purposeful omission shaping how billions perceive spirituality. These missing years weren't just left unrecorded evidence suggests they were deliberately scrubbed from the official accounts. The real question isn't just where Jesus was, but why this period of his life was meticulously excised from the narrative that became Christianity. Imagine realizing that Western spiritual foundations might rest on only a fragment of the originator's journey. What if, rather than being purely a product of Jewish culture, Jesus spent these crucial years absorbing wisdom from Asia's most advanced spiritual traditions? How would that reshape our understanding of his message, his mission, and the artificial divides erected between Eastern and Western thought? Evidence often hiding in plain view points to a remarkable possibility. During these lost years, Jesus traveled far beyond Judea via ancient trade routes connecting the Mediterranean to India, Tibet, and Persia. Within monasteries, temples, and mystery schools across the ancient East, the young Jesus likely didn't just learn. He mastered esoteric knowledge that would profoundly shape his later revolutionary teachings. Let's examine what official records state, and crucially, what they omit. The canonical Gospels cover Jesus' birth and an incident at age 12 in the Jerusalem temple. After that, silence falls until his emergence at age 30. This 18-year gap constitutes 60% of Jesus' life before his public ministry began, a striking absence in supposedly thorough biographies. This gap seems even more deliberate considering it wasn't always vacant. In Christianity's early centuries, various texts circulated describing Jesus' activities during this time, such as the Infancy Gospel of Thomas and the Arabic Infancy Gospel. These narratives filled the void left by canonical accounts. However, they were systematically excluded when the official biblical canon was solidified, notably at the Council of Nicaea in 325 CE under Emperor Constantine. Why? Many of these excluded accounts depicted Jesus journeying far beyond Judea, studying with Eastern sages and Egyptian initiates. This clashed with the theological framework the Roman Church was constructing. A Jesus influenced by Buddhist monks, Brahmin priests, or Egyptian mystery schools would challenge the Church's claim of exclusive and unique divine wisdom, suggesting instead his connection to a universal spiritual heritage. The historical context renders such journeys plausible, even probable. The ancient world was highly interconnected. By the 1st century CE, established trade routes like the Silk Road linked Rome to India and China. Alexandria, Egypt, with its great library, was a global intellectual hub attracting scholars worldwide. Significant Jewish communities thrived across this network. In Alexandria, Babylon, Persia, and even India, maintaining cultural ties to Jerusalem. A spiritually inclined young Jewish man could have easily accessed pathways connecting these distant communities. Furthermore, Jesus' youth coincided precisely with the Pax Romana, the Roman Empire's most peaceful era, making long-distance travel safer than almost any time before modernity. The conditions were ideal for extensive travel during the very period missing from his biography. But mere speculation isn't sufficient. What concrete evidence suggests these journeys occurred? Clues emerge from unexpected sources, including ancient Buddhist texts referencing a sage from the West named Isa, who studied in India and Tibet during this exact time frame. In 1887, Russian explorer Nicholas Notovich reported discovering ancient manuscripts at Hemis Monastery in Ladakh detailing the travels of Jesus, called Isa to India and Tibet. These texts claim Jesus spent years with Buddhist monks and Hindu sages, mastering meditation and philosophy before returning home. While Notovich's findings remain debated, later researchers like Swami Abhedananda and Nicholas Roerich asserted they independently confirmed the existence of such manuscripts. More persuasive are the striking philosophical parallels between Jesus' teachings and Eastern traditions. Concepts like loving enemies, nonviolence, and many of his parables strongly resemble Buddhist teachings that existed 5 centuries prior. His focus on the kingdom within mirrors Vedantic ideas of self-realization. These are specific philosophical frameworks largely absent from contemporary Jewish tradition. Linguistic evidence offers clearer clues. Jesus repeatedly refers to himself as the Son of Man, using the Aramaic phrase Bar Nasha. This exact term appeared in Buddhist texts translated into Aramaic in regions like northern India and Bactria, which had Jewish communities, to denote an enlightened individual who had transcended ordinary human consciousness. Similarly, his use of the way to describe his spiritual path echoes the Buddhist concept of the path and the Taoist Tao. These aren't random overlaps, but specific technical terms from Eastern spiritual traditions appearing in Jesus' vocabulary. Archaeological evidence includes the Rosabal tomb in Kashmir, locally identified for centuries as the resting place of Uz Asaf, a prophet from the West whose teachings parallel Jesus's. The name Uz Asaf is interpreted by some as derived from Jesus the Gatherer. The tomb itself follows Jewish east-west burial orientation, unlike the north-south alignment of Islamic graves. Perhaps the most compelling evidence lies within Jesus' teachings. Emerging at 30, he taught with an authority that baffled religious scholars. His contemporaries questioned, where did this man get this wisdom? Acknowledging it surpassed typical Galilean education. He demonstrated a profound understanding of multiple spiritual traditions, often synthesizing them in ways suggesting deep study. Consider the Sermon on the Mount. Scholars note its radical departure from traditional Jewish thought. Yet, compared to Buddhist sutras like the Dhammapada, parallels are striking. The Beatitudes' emphasis on humility, compassion, and peace mirrors Buddhist paths to enlightenment. Jesus' focus on overcoming attachment aligns with core Buddhist tenets. His teaching style, using parables and koan-like questions, resembles Zen techniques. Instructions like being wise as serpents, innocent as doves, echo Taoist balance principles. His teaching that the kingdom of heaven is within you resonates with the Upanishadic concept of the indwelling divine, Atman. None of these concepts had clear precedence in the Judaism of his day. The question becomes how he acquired such knowledge if not through direct exposure. Further evidence appears in his healing methods, using touch, energy transfer, and emphasizing the recipient's faith, all common in Eastern traditions like Ayurvedic and Tibetan medicine. His frequent retreats for solitary meditation also mirror Eastern spiritual practices more than contemporary Jewish ones. Egypt likely played a significant role too. Matthew's Gospel mentions the family's flight to Egypt during Jesus' infancy but offers no details. Egypt, a long-standing center of esoteric knowledge and mystery schools, hosted Alexandria, the ancient world's intellectual melting pot, where Greek, Jewish, Egyptian, and Eastern wisdom converged. The Therapeuti, a Jewish contemplative community near Alexandria described by Philo, practiced healing and meditation akin to Jesus' later methods. Their name meant healers. Connections to Egyptian mysticism surface in symbolic elements. Resurrection parallels. Osiris mysteries. Born again echoes initiation terminology. Before Abraham was, I am, mirrors Egyptian concepts of eternal consciousness. I am that I am. These specific parallels suggest direct familiarity with Egyptian mystery traditions. But why conceal all this? Why would the early church erase these formative chapters? The reason lies in the political necessity of establishing Christianity as unique and exclusive. By the 4th century, when Christianity became Rome's official religion, church leaders needed to differentiate their faith. A Jesus who learned from Eastern sages or Egyptian initiates undermined claims of Christianity's singular truth. The Council of Nicaea, 325 CE, and later councils established doctrine partly by suppressing alternative narratives. Texts detailing Jesus' travels or studies abroad were branded heretical, destroyed, or ignored, ensuring their disappearance. The result was a curated story serving the church's institutional agenda. This wasn't just historical editing. It fundamentally altered Western spirituality by artificially separating it from Eastern and Egyptian wisdom, creating a false dichotomy that endures. What does this revised understanding mean for us? How does acknowledging Jesus' likely cross-cultural spiritual journey change our view of his teachings and our own paths? First, it allows us to read his words anew. The kingdom of heaven is within you, echoes the Upanishadic truth, Tattvam Asi, that thou art. His teachings on nonviolence and loving enemies resonate with Buddhist compassion practices. His advice to be in the world but not of it aligns with Taoist non-attachment. This doesn't diminish Jesus, it elevates him as a master synthesizer who experienced diverse wisdom traditions and conveyed their essence universally. He becomes a bridge recognizing shared principles beneath different spiritual expressions. For personal spiritual practice, this perspective dissolves artificial barriers. Meditation, compassion, mindfulness, often seen as Eastern, are integral to the path Jesus likely walked. One doesn't need to choose between following Jesus and exploring these practices. They were probably part of his own development. Consider a simple practice Jesus might have learned. Daily silent sitting, focusing on the breath, gently returning attention when thoughts wander. A core mindfulness technique aligning with his emphasis on inner awareness. His instruction to pray in your closet describes this same inward focus. Comparative study also becomes valuable. Reading the Gospels alongside texts like the Dhammapada, Tao Te Ching, or Upanishads reveals universal themes of non-attachment, compassion, and transcending materialism. Wisdom Jesus likely encountered. When Jesus teaches love your enemies, practicing Buddhist metta, loving kindness meditation, sending goodwill even to adversaries, brings his teaching alive, likely reflecting techniques he used. Exploring concepts like prana, life energy, connects us to the energy transfer apparent in his healing work, an aspect largely overlooked in conventional Christianity. His use of paradox reflects non-dual thinking common in the East, encouraging us to hold complexities without immediate resolution. Most importantly, seeing Jesus as a cross-cultural traveler inspires us to be spiritual bridge builders. In a religiously divided world, we can follow his example, seeking universal wisdom underlying diverse traditions, embracing complementary insights instead of exclusive claims. Jesus' hidden years challenge not just his official biography, but the boundaries between wisdom traditions. What if there's one universal path with many cultural expressions? What if Jesus aimed to translate universal insights for his audience? This view transforms Jesus from a figure dividing religions into one who unifies them, embodying truth beyond cultural limits. His missing years aren't just a historical puzzle, but a key to a more universal spirituality. Examining Jesus' core teachings, compassion, non-attachment, inner awareness, the divine within, reveals the same golden thread running through all genuine spiritual paths. Was his journey across the ancient spiritual landscape essential to his mission of unveiling this universal core? The question shifts from whether Jesus studied abroad to how this understanding impacts our spiritual growth. If he valued multiple traditions, Might we benefit from similar openness? If he found universal principles, can we? Reflecting on this hidden chapter invites introspection about our own spiritual journeys. Are we confined to one tradition when broader wisdom exists? Are we creating divisions between complementary paths? Jesus' example suggests deep understanding arises from integration, not isolation, from building bridges, not walls. The profound implication is that divinity reveals itself universally through many traditions, not just one. The light Jesus spoke of shines through countless windows, each offering a valid perspective on the same reality. Recovering this lost chapter helps us understand not only Jesus more fully, but also our own potential for growth. If this exploration of Jesus' hidden years resonates with you, continue this quest for wisdom beyond official narratives. Subscribe to become part of uncovering truths that transcend artificial boundaries. Each connection signifies a recognition that more lies beyond the veil of established history. Join us. True wisdom, as Jesus likely discovered, flourishes when we open ourselves to knowledge the world often conceals.